So at this point, if you have given me a photograph and you found a photograph and cropped it down, a close-up of someone's eye, and again, you could have used your own picture, you could have found something that you found off the internet. At this point, you should have gotten the picture back, sent back to your chat, and I would have made it black and white and also placed it on this gray background. Gray background also has some color swatches on it. These are just the colors that I was using for the apple. Happens to be the file that I had. That's not important right now, but you'll see, and I'm sorry if my screen's a little off, you'll see that there is your picture, and there should be another gray rectangle on your working station. And you'll see your picture right here. It should be called background. It might be already locked. If it's not locked, you can always hit that padlock to lock it. I don't want you to do anything on the background. I want you to keep the background exactly the way it is. So if you open up your project file open in Photopea, you should be able to find that one, whichever, wherever, however, and then just open it. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to start today making some outlines. Just like we did with the apple, we outlined the outside shape of the apple, and we use that to sort of, I guess, mask off areas. So that part is an important part. It's the first step. It may not be the funnest part, and sometimes using the pen tool is a little bit annoying, but we do want to make sure we do a decent job here. So I'm only going to do that in my demo, and I'm not going to sort of give you too much to do at any one time. So the first tool we're going to use, and I'm going to zoom out just a little bit, is we're going to go over to our toolbar and we're going to find the rectangle tool. And it's going to be near the bottom. We got the rectangle with the ellipse. We've used these before. We used the ellipse before to make the apple. This time I'm going to use the rectangle. And now with the rectangle, when I select it, you'll see some of the options up here change. Now your options might look different than mine. I'm going to tell you what they should be set to. You want to go to fill, and you want to make sure the fill is the red X, okay? Then you want to go to the stroke. The stroke should be a nice bright color, okay? Whatever you can see easily on the screen, a nice bright color. Don't use black or gray or white because it's a black and white picture. You're going to have a hard time seeing it. So pick a bright, vibrant color. That's fine. And then for the size of the stroke, you can see you have that drop and you have the little number here. You might have a 15, a 20, a 1, a 3. Let's just change the stroke width. Let's all do this at 1. All right, so everybody basically has the same thing that I have. So now that we have the rectangle tool and we've set up our tool options, all I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the corner, the very corner of my photograph, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to click and drag, and I'm going to make a little rectangle that's approximately the same size as my picture. Now, if it's a little tiny bit off, well, that's okay. If it's a lot off, just press delete and do it again. Now, I know the shape tools and the pen tool can be a little tricky, but for example, if you screw up your shape over here, instead of just going again and doing another one, hit delete. Get rid of the bad ones. Let's only work with the good ones. So the first one, we're going to go corner to corner here. You can see I missed just a little bit on the top over here. I just missed a little bit of the picture. That's totally fine. So don't worry about that if you miss a little bit. So that first shape you should have right now, you're going to see background, and you're going to see shape 1. If you have more than one shape, I'll select it, delete it, and get down to one shape. And that one shape should be that rectangle that we just made. It should be in the color that you chose. But since it's selected, you're going to see it as blue, no matter if you put it yellow, green, whatever. Now we're going to go to shape 1. And we're going to just rename this one rectangle. And I rename things by double-clicking on the actual word itself. That'll give me the option to highlight it and rename it. I think it's very important that we stay organized. All right, the next thing we're going to do is now we're going to switch tools up a little bit. We're going to go to the pen tool. And if you can't find the pen tool, you can always mouse over it. And if you can't find it mousing over it, you can also just press the letter P. It will automatically bring you to the pen tool. The pen tool should be set up on the same parameters that the last one is. It'll automatically remember whatever the rectangle tool was set to. So when you click on the pen tool, the fill, the stroke, the width of the stroke, all should be the same. Now, as soon as I go to my picture, I'm going to start in one of the corners. Now, all these eyes are almond shaped. So I got an almond like a nut. And we have a corner here and a corner here, and some big curvy areas. So I want to start in a corner. Doesn't matter what corner I start in, I'm going to click once. When I click once, you'll see a new shape layer has been created. The old one, the rectangle one, is no longer selected, so you can actually see your yellow box. Down in that new shape layer, there's just one little blue dot. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in. That's Control Plus. Now to make this curve, this is the same tool we used to make that little bump on the apple. Now, to make it work, you want to click again and hold. You don't want to let go of your mouse. And once you've clicked, or trackpad, once you've clicked and held, then you can sort of drag your other finger. When you drag your other finger, you get something called a handle. And that handle allows you to make a curve. And once you've made a curve, now I've let go, now I can go to another spot on my picture, click again, and automatically it's going to have a curve based off the last one. But I want to click and drag anyway. And then I'll go ahead and click and drag, and click and drag, and click and drag. Now what you want to do is, you don't want to be perfect. Well, you want to try to be perfect, but I know you won't be. What I want you to be is close. What we're outlining right now is the very edge of the eye. And what's going to happen is, what we want to do is we want to get back to the original dot and finish it there. Now, there's no way I think you're going to do this and be perfect at it the first time. So what I'm going to do is just erase that and do it again. This time I'm going to grab my pen tool. I'm going to go to a corner in the eye. I like starting on this side. You could have started over here. I'm going to click once. When you click once, you see that new shape. You don't want to go, the biggest question is, how far apart should these shapes be? Well, I would tell you not to go all the way over here and try to bend this thing, because it gets a little confusing and things get a little messed up. And I'll just go ahead and delete that. I also wouldn't tell you to go like super close to one another, like this. Like, just clicking and clicking and clicking and clicking. There's a lot of points and it's easy to get screwed up. I'm going to get rid of all that. What I would tell you is this. Start in the corner. Then let's try to do this entire top curve of the eye with 4 or less points. So I would pick a spot like a quarter of the way up. I would click, hold, and drag and make a little curve. I go about halfway now, click and hold and drag. Maybe another quarter of the way here, click and hold and drag. And maybe that last one. Since I have a little bump here, I'm going to do it right here. Sorry about that. And I'm just going to adjust the handle here. And go to my bottom corner. Now once I've gotten past the top, I'm going to continue all my way around. Click, hold, and drag. Click, hold, and drag. I promise you that for most of you, this will be the actual hardest part. And I know it's a little challenging, that's why I'm not giving you a whole lot left to do. But the idea is to use that pen tool to go all the way around. Now, if you somehow don't do that, and then all of a sudden when you look in your layer window and you suddenly see a bunch of shapes, not just a rectangle, but like shape 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, well, something went wrong. Go ahead and erase those shapes and start fresh. Now I'm going to click on shape 1, and I'm just going to rename this one eyeball. All right. And right now we should just have these three layers, rectangle and eyeball in the background. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go switch over to my Ellipse Tool. I'm going to go down over here, find that rectangle, and then I'm going to find the ellipse. Once I have the ellipse, you should see a plus sign. And what you want to do is you want to kind of click and drag, and you want to make a circle. Now this circle is going to be that center part of my eyeball. When you do that, a new shape will appear. An eyeball will have moved on and now look yellow. It's not that easy to make this thing exactly fit, but what we're trying to do is simply just make a circle that's almost the same size as the iris. Now, if it's not lined up, you can always go to your Move tool. You can make sure Auto Select is not checked, and you can click and drag and put it in place. I got lucky, I kind of made mine the exact right size. I'll delete it. I'll do it again, but if I go and I make it, and this time I didn't make it the right size, and I made it a little too big, a little too small, I can't make it work, I'll just keep deleting it and keep trying until I get it pretty close. It looks pretty close to me, and then I'll try to move it over, clicking and dragging, and that looks like a decent circle for my iris. The pupil. The pupil of the eye. And I'm going to go over that shape. I'm going to rename that one pupil. And that's that black circle in your eye. The iris is the color part of the eye. And I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to grab my Ellipse tool, and I'm going to try to make a circle for that eye. Now, the one thing about doing this is that you're going to notice, well, if I make a circle, some of it is going to be outside the edge. And, that is exactly fine. I don't expect anybody to make a circle that fits inside here. I don't want you to just kind of like half make one. I want you to try to make one that fits and looks like the size of the actual eyeball. And again, if you make one and it doesn't quite fit exactly, you can always grab the Move tool, click and drag and try to move it. I realize that the edge of the iris, the color part of the eye, might be a little like soft and blurred. That's okay. You just want to be close. So again, I'm going to click and drag. And we are going to try to get another circle in here that's about the same size as the iris. And realize that that little iris that I'm making, that might actually cut into or cut out of the eyeball itself. So now I'm going to go take a look at that, and I'm going to go to that shape 1. I'm going to click on it, and this one I'm going to rename iris. Okay, so if I click on my background, I can see I've got circle, circle, eyeball shape. If I go and click on these things, they'll disappear. They're all done a bright color, so I can see them easily, and they're all done very thin. I've got one more shape to make, and you may or may not have to do this, but most of you are going to have a nice dark crease right above the eyelid, and I want to make that crease as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my pen tool again, and I'm going to start at the edge of the crease, and I'm going to click once, click again, and click and drag. Click, hold, and drag. Click, hold, and drag. And I'm just going to click. And all I made was a little line over here for the eyelid. And I'm going to go over to that layer, double click, and call it eyelid, and rename it. Now, what I just gave you to do, it's not that easy. Getting used to the pen tool and the shape tool and everything else like that is a little bit challenging. So, what I'm going to tell you is, if you don't get it at first, and at first you don't succeed, simply try again. But this is what you have to get set up right now. And if you use the video and you just pause it where you need it and try it over when it doesn't work out the way you want, you'll be fine. Again, we want to be close. We may not be exactly perfect, but we want to be close. With that, that is how to get started.